If you're watching this video, then I can safely assume that you're applying to business school and you're beginning to ask yourself this question: what score do I need to get into this top business school program? And I'm here to answer that question for you. My name is Tayo. I am an M7 business school admit heading to business school 2021, and I gained admission to business school with a 680. Yes, I get admission into 2 business schools. So in this video, I'm going to provide you with the framework that you need to come up with the magic GMAT number that works for you. Let's get into it. First, I want to say before I even jump into the video is that there's no magic number. For example, I've heard stories of people getting into Stanford with a 620. I've heard people getting into Harvard with 650, 680. Like, not everybody gets into business school with a 700 or above 700. So if you have been trying to hit 700 and you have not hit it, don't stress yourself. It may still be possible for you to get into business school. My point is that there is no magic number. There is no formula. Some people have 770, 760, and some schools will still deny them. So the GMAT score is important, but the question is, what GMAT score will work for you? Now, let's get to answering the question. The very first framework is, how is the GMAT used in your MBA application? The GMAT forms one part, just one part of your entire MBA application, but it's also an important part. How does the admissions committee use your GMAT score? In 2 ways. The very first one is that they use it to compare you with other candidates. So there are many other people that are applying to the same school that you're applying to, and they all have stellar recommendations, amazing profiles, and the admissions committee has a tough job of looking through all these applications and picking the best candidates for their program. And the way they're going to do it is that they're going to compare you to other people, and one thing that is common to everybody: work experience is not common to everybody, GPA is not common to everybody, recommendation letter is not common to everybody, but the GMAT score is offered by the same body worldwide, and it is one way in which the admissions committee is going to compare you to somebody else. So that is important. Another thing is that GMAT is also used to examine, to understand your current academic performance. Let me explain that. If you are going to business school, you must have already gone to undergraduate school. So you have a BSc at least. Some people have MSc. Some people even have other MBAs before an MBA, but at the minimum, you have a bachelor's degree. Now, if you do not study, let's say in the United States, I'm assuming again that most people are going to be applying to schools in the US, but let's say that you do not study in the school that you are aiming to go to school in. The admissions committee of that school, they don't know the rigor of your academic program. So I personally, I went to a school in Nigeria, and I had a very high GPA. My CGPA is about 3.9 over 4 if you convert it to the 4-point system, right? But the school doesn't know the rigor of my academic program. Like, even in Nigeria, people argue that, you know, private universities are less rigorous than federal universities. So how much more will an examiner, an admission officer in a foreign country, you know, how much more can they understand the academic program? So they will use a GMAT score to qualify that result and say, okay, if this person has such a high CGPA, the person should also have at least a good enough GMAT. Do you understand? The same way, if you had a poor CGPA from school, maybe you finished with a 2.1 or a 2.2, one way to get admission, to convince them, is to have a very high GMAT score, because then they'll probably think that this person is good in GMAT. So that means that they must not have been so bad, right, in undergraduate. So admissions committee are going to use your GMAT to qualify your existing academic performance. And last thing, which I think is also very important, is ranking. The admissions committee they also care about their school's ranking. And a business school's ranking is based on several points. And one of the points is on the GMAT score. That's why almost every business school, they will proudly display their GMAT score to you and tell you that the average GMAT score is 740 or 760 or 770 or whatever other really high GMAT score, you know, is out there. So the school also cares about their ranking. If last year their average GMAT score was 740, think about it statistically. Average means that 50% of the people in that class scored above that particular score. So the school definitely will not want to do anything that will drag the average down. At least not drag it, you know, too much, you know, to the lower end. So that's how the business schools use your GMAT in your application review. Let's look at worldwide average GMAT score. According to the GMAT, the average GMAT score worldwide is 570. So So 570 over 800 is the average GMAT score. What that means is that half of everybody writing the GMAT in the entire world is scoring 570 or lower. 570 or lower, right? So if you have a score of 680, you are well above the average, the worldwide average, GMAT score. Have a GMAT score of 700, of 710, of 740, of 770. Wow, you are well above the worldwide average. So think about it that way. You want a GMAT score that separates you from the average population. Okay? Another way to think about it again as well is look at average GMAT score per region. So again, when the admissions committee is reviewing your admission, they're going to be comparing you against your region, your occupation, and then the entire class. I'm going to explain all this when I begin my MBA application tips series on this channel coming very soon. So you want to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss those when they come out. That's what I was saying. So this quiz is comparing you based on your region. So for example, now I'm a Nigerian, and that means that this quiz is going to first compare me with what is typical among Africans, right? And then they'll compare me among what is typical among investment bankers, because I'm an investment banker. Then they'll compare me against what is typical with the entire class. So you just want to look at the beginning point, your region. What is typical for your region? So for example, when I wrote my GMAT, I was in Nigeria, and as of 2019, the average GMAT score for Nigeria is 454. 454. That is the average GMAT score in Nigeria. What that means is that as a Nigerian, if I get a GMAT score of 700 or 680, I am way above the average GMAT score for my country. Make sense? Right? Whereas in the United States, the average GMAT score in the United States is 558, right? Average GMAT score for people in China and Europe is actually a little bit higher. Point is that you want to think about what region you are in and how you are going to be assessed in that region. So I come from Africa, where the GMAT score is typically very low, right? Typically below 500. So a GMAT score of like 680, 700 for me is a wow. But if you come from a region where like average GMAT score is like 600 and something, if you have a GMAT score of 600 and something, you are not so different from the pack. So that's another way to pick your lucky number. Another framework as well is to look at the average GMAT score for the school that you are targeting. So I was targeting only the top schools in the US. I targeted only the M7 schools, and it was very important for me to be, looked at like I belonged there. And the way to do that is to check their average score. For most of the M7s, like all of the M7s have average GMAT score of above 700. I think most of the T15 schools as well, like most of the schools in the US, have GMAT scores of above 700. While I think when you go to Europe, you begin to see lower average GMAT scores. That's something to also consider as well. But another thing again is that a lower GMAT score than their average, you can make up for it with maybe experience. So if you have more experience or a high CGPA, right, or amazing extracurricular activity, you can make up for it. But you don't want to be too far away from their median. So I look at the median as well. Many schools have medians that is from 680 to like 770, 690 to 770. Some schools have median that starts from as low as 620 as well. So that means that if you didn't get as high as their average, right, don't discount yourself, don't discount your score. Look at the median. If a school's median is from 620 maybe to like 770, and you have like a 510 or a 550, that means that you're going to be fighting an uphill battle to get into that school. So I hope I've given you, enough food for thought, a framework that you can sit down and compare yourself geographically, worldwide, per the school, and you look at your own profile as well to determine what is the score, what is this magic number. And another thing I'll say again is that most times is in retrospect. So I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you like I deliberately knew that I would get in. When I scored 680, that was my second attempt on the GMAT, and I was not happy with the score. I applied because I had made a commitment to myself to apply in round 1, and that's why I applied. In short, I almost did not apply because I felt like my score was too low and I would not get in. And then I applied and I paid for another GMAT. I wrote GMAT two more times between August and December, and my score did improve. but I didn't even use my improved score. I didn't even use it to apply the first time. So I gained admission even with my 680 that way. My point is that there's no magic number, to be very honest. Like, it takes a lot of confidence. You have to be just confident in your profile. You have to be real with yourself. I had other things in my profile that I thought, you know, would speak for me, like the CFA, like my high GPA, like my work experience in investment banking, like my extracurricular activities. I'm going to be doing a video where I take you guys through my profile, my entire application profile. Again, you don't want to miss that video, so subscribe. But that's what I was saying, like, you just want to apply a little bit of faith in yourself. Of course, if you had a score of like 760, come on, you know, you're good for most schools. That's it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.